Sorry. Good evening, everyone. I call this Adams Board of Selectmen meeting to order on Wednesday, August 16th, 2023. If you could all rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. All right, the first order of business is the approval of minutes. In front of the board this evening is the set of minutes for August 2nd, 2023. And I believe everybody who is here is able to vote on the minutes.
I'll make a motion to waive the reading and accept the minutes as presented for August 2nd, 2023.
Okay, I have a motion by Howard. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by John. Any discussion?
Yes, I just
Sure.
have a comment. On page 2, under the second topic, a motion was made by Member Duval to accept the changes as presented by Mr. Shepley. In my second comment, I asked Bruce Shepley, and I want to thank Bruce and Jim Taylor and Fred Hobart for their many years on a cemetery committee. They do fine work. But I was kind of taken aback when I said Member Novak brought up the matter of the $500 fee that is in place for burials that happened after 12 p.m. on Saturdays. Mr. Shepley declined to discuss the matter as it was already approved in a previous Board of Selectmen meeting. So could someone tell me on the Select Board what was the approval? What did we decide?
So I think it was a previous meeting. I think it was the middle of July meeting when Mr. Shepley brought forward the cemetery rules and changes. We, as a board, voted on those en masse, and that was one of the changes. But that was discussed at that time.
And what was the resolution? I don't think I ever got a clarification of how much time after 12 o'clock would this, on a Saturday, would this be set into motion?
I believe that the rule was 12 p.m. on Saturdays.
Okay, so 1 minute after 12 on Saturdays, a $500.
I believe the discussion was that they would use their discretion. I mean, if it was 12 noon and 30 seconds, I think that they would be understandable.
Okay, well, that's
But
arbitrary.
that was the conversation.
Okay, but
the
that-
rule states, the rule that we all approved as a board was 12 noon. Anything
Okay.
past 12 noon.
So in other words, it's arbitrary.
So Mr. Shepley declined to discuss the matter. I'm actually going to decline discussing the matter any further because it was already decided that it was a 12 noon.
Okay, thank
Rule.
you, Madam Chairman.
You're welcome. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or an abstention? All right, that is unanimous. Public comment. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak with the board? Okay. Hearing none, we will move on. There's nothing under old business, so that brings us to new business. And before us this evening, we have 3 ratifications. The first one, you'll see an email in your meeting materials from the town clerk. Susan Denault has requested to continue on as a fence viewer. We had not heard from Susan at the time of our annual renewals in June, but did contact the town clerk after that and asked if we could renew her appointment as a fence viewer for a 1-year term expiring June 30th, 2024. So we would just need a motion and a vote on that.
It'll be a motion to appoint.
Oh, motion to appoint, not renew, sorry. Thank you.
I make a motion to appoint Susan A. Denault as fence viewer with a term expiring June 30th, 2024.
Okay, I have a motion by Howard. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by John. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed or an abstention? That is unanimous. Thank you. I see Sarah Fontaine is here, so Sarah, while you're on your way up, items 2 and 3 under ratifications are for the Council on Aging. I do have 2 letters here from Jay to the board, but I'm going to take them one at a time. If you wanted to talk about the individuals, or do you want to talk about them together?
We can do individual, that's fine.
Okay, so I'll start with Greg Trottier. So this letter is to advise the Board of Selectmen that Gregory Trottier has been appointed to the position of per diem van driver for the Adams Council on Aging. As provided in Section 10 of the Town Charter, I am pleased to present Gregory for your ratification this evening. Please find an attached memo from Ms. Sarah Fontaine, Director of the Adams Council on Aging, outlining the qualifications of Gregory and why he was selected to fill this position. Once ratified and contingent upon successfully passing and completing any hiring requirements of the Town of Adams, Mr. Trottier will begin his employment on or about August 17th at Grade 5, Step 1, which is $18.10 hourly. So I'll turn it over to you, Sarah, if you want to talk about the process and...
Yeah, so it's a bit of a cumbersome process for hiring van drivers. So we do the interviewings, they get ratified. They have to pass their pre-employment physicals, which they did this week. And then there's a pretty daunting training requirement for anyone who's going to drive a van. So there are 6 required trainings through MARTAP, which is the state transportation agency that oversees this program. So once we get them ratified, we can start paying them for these trainings. They probably won't be actually driving vans for another couple of months until these trainings are complete. They can't physically get behind the wheel until all these trainings are complete.
All right. What is the board's pleasure with regard to Gregory Trottier as a per diem van driver?
I'll make a motion to approve, to ratify Gregory Trottier as a per diem van driver for the Adams Council on Aging, subject to any applicable hiring requirements of the Town of Adams.
Okay. I have a motion by Howard. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by John. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or an abstention? That is unanimous. So the second ratification is for David
Rano.
Rano? Okay, thank you. This letter is to advise the Board of Selectmen that David Rano has been appointed to the position of per diem van driver for the Adams Council on Aging. As provided in Section 10 of the Town Charter, I am pleased to present David for your ratification this evening. Please find an attached memo from Ms. Sarah Fontaine, Director of the Adams Council on Aging, outlining the qualifications of David and why he was selected to fill this position. Once ratified and contingent upon successfully passing and completing any hiring requirements of the Town of Adams, Mr. Rano will begin his employment on or about August 17th at Grade 5, Step 1, which is $18.10 hourly. Anything to add?
So he has to go through the same training as Greg. So when we do hire van drivers, we do like to hire them in bunches, I guess you'd say. Just, it's easier to tackle the training requirements, especially if we have to schedule them. If they're not scheduled across the state, it's easier to schedule with more than one van driver.
Thank you.
Any questions about the training requirements that are in place? No? Okay.
Okay, question.
Go ahead, Howard.
If you could just, what are the names of the trainings? You know, just what are the topics of the training?
So defensive driving, wheelchair and passenger securement, CPR first aid, sensitivity training. There is also drug and alcohol training, and there are required drug and alcohol testing.
Thank you.
So it may be me, being here a long time, but there appears to be a high turnover rate for van drivers, and we do invest money in the training which you have just mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have any thoughts on the reasoning, or it's just part of the way the economy is nowadays? Or?
Well, no, not necessarily. So this is a per diem position, so it's not part-time or full-time, so it's not benefited.
Okay.
So if they don't work, they don't get paid. And so that type of position appeals to retired folks, and then some do it for a year or two and then decide they want to be truly retired, which is what is happening with one of our van drivers. He was hired about a year and a half ago, and his wife recently retired, so now he's going to retire by the end of the year. And then our other van driver, who has been acting in a full-time position, in a full-time role, but only getting paid, as a per diem van driver, is truly going to be retiring now. So we have to fill that position as well.
We've used the per diem model for about 2 years now. Sarah's only known it as a per diem model.
Yeah.
About 3 years ago, and when I first started in 2019, the van driver positions were full-time and part-time. There was 2 full-time, 2 part-time. Those positions didn't attract any candidates upon those retirements, and those were fully benefited with hourly salaries. And some of the feedback that we got from the exit interviews that we did were people didn't want to be locked in for those hours driving the van. They wanted the flexibility to say, well, I'm really only available on Tuesday, I'm only available on Thursday. The other issue, frankly, that we had was that during the downtime, there was no van driving, there was no value provided really to the town because the job description was simply driving the van. So if there was pickups later in the afternoon, but not so much early afternoon, there wasn't anything that they were doing, and they were members of the clerical bargaining unit, so we didn't have much flexibility with the position. When we went to the per diem position, we just converted the salary line items into the per diem pool, and we got a lot of flexibility, and the pool is actually, despite John leaving, the pool is it's the largest pool that we've had, simply because people can now make their own schedule. It's a little bit more work on Sarah's staff, but we did go from a part-time to a full-time administrative assistant to add in those extra hours to manage the van system.
Transportation.
So far, it's working. If we weren't getting per diem drivers and we thought the economy shifted where people were looking again for benefited positions, we'd go back to that, but that's a little bit of the history for it, Ani.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have a question.
Sure.
Do you have an update on the vans, the purchase of new vans?
I haven't received an update from BRTA yet because we have been assigned to receive a new van. It just hasn't become available yet.
And while you're here, we didn't make a vote yet, did we, for this?
We have not yet.
Okay,
No?
I'll make a comment after the vote.
Okay. And just, if you're asking Sarah to talk about something that's not on the agenda, we'd have to put it on a future agenda. So just keep that in mind. If you're asking her to present something other than the van drivers or anything to do with the vans.
Okay.
So we do have a motion and a second, so.
We did not have a
Oh, we
motion
did
yet.
not, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I move that
Oh, she said yes.
David Renow be ratified as a per diem van driver for the Council on Aging, subject to any applicable hiring requirements of the town of Adams.
Motion by Howard, do I have a second?
Second?
Second by John. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed or an abstention? Okay, that is unanimous. Joe, you wanted to make a comment
Yes,
or
I do. Well,
request an agenda item?
About transportation?
no,
Okay.
it's just a comment. Your group is excellent, and the reason I know it now is because there's an elderly gentleman that lives near me that's having some trouble. And I contacted the Council on Aging, not knowing what you do, but to see it in action, it's amazing. I can see how it really helps the elderly in this area. It's kind of helped him so much. It's getting him a little more upbeat because of, the things that are given, and all the people that have been there to see him are gracious. They're very sensitive to the situation. So once again, as I've done this often, the Council on Aging is certainly a very valuable asset in this community.
It certainly is. We have a great team of staff and volunteers, and, we want to help the community, so
Yeah, but you are.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sarah? All right. Okay, that'll bring us to item B. Our superintendent for Hoosick Valley Regional School District is here this evening, Erin Dean. I did ask Erin to come this evening to talk to the board. There's a few exciting things happening with the school district. One that we get to see right across the street over the last couple of weeks as the district has been slowly moving in.
Yes.
And I know that you have some information you wanted to share about facilities, and as we were putting the agenda together, you asked for a little bit of time to talk about the Pathways curriculum as well. So
Yes.
I'll turn things over to you.
So it's,
You're wearing the wrong colors.
I know, I knew I was going to get hassled about that. I didn't have time to go home and put on a red shirt. But I still bleed red. Okay.
Perfect.
So thanks for having me here tonight. It's been a busy summer. I feel like a very productive summer in a lot of ways, but now without its hurdles, which I'll talk about when I get to the move piece. So the elementary building, as you know, we've talked back and forth about the monies that have been appropriated for the envelope of the building, and had an extensive study done by EDM a few years back. So I kind of wanted to give an update, kind of the status of that study, the status of the work that we've done on those buildings, and talk about the next phase of work in that building, because, I feel like people don't know the number of things that we've done to the space to improve it, and we're continually looking ahead and building plans for that. So I want to make sure that people understand we're doing quite a bit with that building and getting support from the town, which I really appreciate. Just a list of some of the things that we've done over the past few years. We've retiled all of the classrooms over the last 3 years. We've repaired all of the windows to restore them to working like new with counterweights and everything, so all of the windows work. We've installed air conditioners in all of the classrooms because the cool air was not moving there, and as I guess we deal with climate change, we've got to do something to combat the heat, especially in the spring months and through June. We've had our whole HVAC system evaluated and balanced, and we're continuing to look at one unit on the gym side to look for some options. It was replaced about 10 years ago, but it really hasn't been doing, really the heating portion of that hasn't been performing the way we would like. So as part of the HVAC funds, we're evaluating that, and we'll likely come up with an alternative and replace that unit somehow. We've upgraded the boiler and classroom heat controls over the past several years. COVID funds have really allowed us to do a lot of that work, which is great. So now we have systems that are functioning, and we can actually see how they function with the computerized system. We've done concrete and brick repair at the rear of the building and at the portico, which was visible this year. You could see staging that was up around the building, and repointing the brick and repairing that. Around the backside of the building, we've had issue with vandalism and people breaking the concrete, so we're going to have to keep an eye on that. But all of the stairs and everything around the back and the brick on the portico has all been repointed to make those structures safe. We also did some work around the entrance as well, for the auditorium, one that we never use, but just to kind of shore up some things there. Bathroom stalls we're starting to replace. We've had Vermont Roofing working with us on the roofing. We've patched any and all leaks at this point in time. I always knock on wood after I say that, and repaired anything that has been a result of that. Upcoming, we're going to be doing an upgrade of the fire panel. We're working with Johnson Controls and Summer Electric on those pieces, looking at quotes and getting bids on that. The big piece that I still want to get done is the spandrel paneling that's on the auditorium windows, and the gutters all around that area. They've presented problems, so we have to figure out a plan for the water diversion and repairing those, and the water diversion at the entrance. So the EDM report, those 3 projects we're going to lump into one and start a bid process on, and hopefully get some bids and some work going on the fall around those areas. We want to replace the sidewalks on the north end of the building as well. We've been actively seeking quotes. I think we're going to have to go out to a bid process for that, unless we break it up a certain way. And we've installed security cameras on the interior and exterior over the past few years. Every year we add a few. So we've got most areas
covered pretty well with security cameras at the elementary school. So a lot of work has gone into that building and a lot of planning moving forward on how we can continue to improve it, secure the envelope, so to speak. And like I said, on the interior, we've done a lot of work, painting, tiling in the classrooms, all of those pieces to make those attractive, welcoming spaces. So, as we open at the beginning of the year, I'd welcome anybody to do a walkthrough with me just to show you some of the things that we've done. But
So, Aaron, you mentioned the security cameras, and you also mentioned vandalism has been taking place. So what's the timing? Has vandalism been, any action as a result of the security cameras?
Ironically, one of the security cameras got broken.
Yeah. It's where they work. Yep.
So we've put those up to kind of deter some of the pieces, and we've been talking with the police department about monitoring that space. I know that there's a few spaces in town that have come up over time, but
There's hot spots.
Yeah, hot spots. I would say over the course of this summer, we haven't seen, I knock on wood again, we haven't seen any real issues back there. I try to drive through there anytime I can just to scope things out. But we definitely dealt with that probably through the spring pretty significantly, and have had to keep an eye on that. So.
And before you move on to the other building, Jay, did you want to talk about the funding? This, I think it was 2018, this board had gone to a town meeting requesting set aside some money for the elementary school building. Could you talk a little bit about that and how that might help with these costs?
So the money, and forgive me, I don't remember the exact amount, but it was about $200,000, I believe.
Yeah, I think it was 250.
Around the 250. Work had been done originally by the town's community development department, working with EDM, our architectural firm, on assessing the building needs. And most of that report, it was an expensive report, but most of it came back indicating what Aaron's talked about and what the school district is now taking action on repairing, which is failure of masonry joints, which allows water infiltration. The gutter system and water movement system on the building is in deplorable condition. The balancing of the gutters was not correct, so water was stagnating and it was getting into those windows. And one of the things I think that we all like to see are those panels that Aaron mentioned to be removed. The pandemic kind of slowed some work on that, and then as we came out of the pandemic and Aaron was able to acquire additional capital funds, we realized that the balance of the money left after the engineering reports were done were insufficient to actually execute construction, which is typical in municipal projects, that includes the school district. So we knew that in order to make those dollars really work and permanently correct some of these issues, we needed to join forces with funds from the school district. So what we've done is we've taken the balance of that money, which is about 140 at this point. We have the final engineering report. As I said, it was expensive, but that is now guiding the roadmap for the school district to address those repairs. In the ensuing time frame, the community development department has shifted over in staff. We have the Graylock Glen project going on, the wastewater treatment plant going on, along with several other small projects. The school district is, under Aaron's leadership, is now able to actually take on some of these projects and doesn't need to lean on the town. And in addition, the Massachusetts legislature just changed last year, if not a little less, more favorable procurement laws under MGL 30B for school districts. So it's actually more advantageous for the public money to be bid by the school district because they can do more without having to bid out and spend money on a bidding process. Long story short, the school district is going to execute the project. They've taken that engineering report the town paid for. They're going to take that remainder of the town meeting authorized money, blend it with money from the school district that's going to put into the building, and then they'll send us the invoices for the work so we can be sure that what town meeting authorized work to be done was done and pay them, and we'll get the biggest bang for the buck and finally correct some of those really the water infiltration problems with that building. Yeah. I think it's also worth mentioning that Mike Mucci, who's chairman of the school committee, is an Adams resident. Mike works in the masonry field full-time, and he has been very helpful for us. He's almost, for this, almost like a project manager for us. And he's been a great steward of double-checking EDM for us and really honing in on what can we do for, for what dollars we have that are going to make an impact. So I think Mike, I know you wanted to thank him too.
Yeah, Mike has been a great resource in terms of, all right, let's chunk these projects out in the following way, and he has a really good idea of what things we should lump together and what things we should chunk out, so that's been extremely helpful in terms of determining what we were going to do and how we were going to proceed. Tomorrow, I'm actually meeting with EDM to kind of go through the bid package and what we're going to lump together in terms of the water and repointing of brick and some of those pieces. So we will assemble that bid package and we'll be ready to go. So yeah, I feel like we're in a good place in terms of managing the building and making plans moving forward that we continually address things over time. So as far as the middle and high school, I'm sure you've seen that when we put a bid notice out for a roof project on the middle school and the high school gym. It's been probably 3 years now. Every time we reach the playoff time for basketball, the high school gym starts leaking. We've been working with the company around the warranty. The roof is out of warranty at this point in time. We've done exploratory work, patches, repairs, but the way that roof was structured over the years, there's stone on top of the membrane, and it's very difficult to find where the leaks are. And over time, it's just gotten to a point where the insulation is saturated and we need to do a full replacement on both of those roofs. Fortunately, I had capital left with ESSER, and we made a conscious decision that would be a really good place for us to invest those funds, being that I know the town of Adams is working on a number of different projects, and we didn't want to burden the town with those pieces, and we felt, we could do that, and with the SOA funds, manage the pieces around the school district. So the project is probably going to be about an $800,000 project. We had the pre-bid meeting today at the middle and high school, and currently we have eight contractors that I think are going to bid on it. And being the fall season, it's a favorable time for us to do the work and get it done fairly quickly, and those would be 2 roofs that we don't have to worry about.
Now, we did the auditorium, the 3 of them at the same time. What's the status of the auditorium?
The auditorium, knocking on a lot of wood today. Hasn't given us problems. And we've kind of had the whole building assessed to kind of see where issues might arise. So as of right now, we'll probably be retiring some seams and just doing some preventative things on the auditorium. The rest of the building also has sprung a leak from time to time, but remains under warranty. But there's some seams that we're kind of looking at, saying we probably should retire these seams and do some preventative work to extend the life of the roofs. And hoping, 5 to 10 years down the road, we can, if we do a roof project, we can take care of that and possibly the elementary school at the same time or something like that. So doing this will allow us to push out some of the other pieces and do some more preventative maintenance at this point in time. So.
Thank you.
So that's that. As far as the move, I don't know if my hair's gotten grayer over the summer. It's certainly been a project. I will thank David, though. He's been great in terms of getting the space ready and working with us. Our electrical work will be done this week, by the end of the week, which is exciting. But our electric meter is not hooked up, so we're waiting on National Grid to kind of get our meter hooked so we have electricity. And then the other hang-up has been internet. We're part of mass broadband, but Verizon has to do the point-to-point connection, and apparently there was a break in the line going into that building, so we've been back and forth and working actually with Representative Barrett to try to get an expedited process to get that point-to-point connection done. So the hope is that by the end of this month, we are in the space functioning the way we need to be. We're currently making contingency plans if that's not the case, being the lease runs out in Cheshire on August 31st. But furniture's in there, we have files in there, things like that. Anything that's left in the space that needs to go down we have a plan on the 25th to empty the space there and fill the space downtown, so we're getting there. We've been working on this since probably about November last year. And the electrical and the internet and all that stuff since January. So, sometimes these things draw out like that and you just do the best you can. Roll with the punches, I guess. So, but I am excited to be coming to downtown Adams. I'll probably gain some weight eating next door at the Grind. But, we're excited to be in a visible place, where people hopefully feel like they have access to us, so. And then the last piece I wanted to talk about is our pathway programming. Hopefully you've seen the billboards. So at the middle and high school, we've kind of shifted our programming a bit. And some of it's based on what we've already been doing, but tweaking, and some of it is just based on data we're seeing in terms of what the needs of our students are coming in the door and what might be a better match for the community. Last fall, we started with the Signature Business Experience Night to get businesses involved in discussions about where we're going with the curriculum. And we've applied to be an Innovations Pathway High School, which we did get designated this past spring. And we have 2 innovation pathways that are approved by the state in environmental science and healthcare sciences. And those pathways have advanced coursework, opportunities for students to get certifications in different things. So if a student wants to be an EMT, we can get them through the EMT training and get them out into the workforce. If a student is looking to go deeper into the medical field, we can get them advanced coursework and college credit before they get out the door and get them ready to go into pre-med. So the whole point of the pathways really is to give students opportunities for career exploration. And that career exploration we'll use to put together an individual plan for the student. If you want to go directly into the workforce, this is a direction you can go. If you're looking to go off to college, we can get you college credits and dual enrollments in some of those pieces. I mean, I know Drury is an early college school, and that's kind of where their eggs are in terms of the basket. I think from our standpoint, I feel like we have more options because we're connected to the businesses in the workforce in the area, but we're also able to still do the dual enrollments and get students into college with the college credits. So I did bring a little literature for you. Thank you. This is now onto our website, posted on the website. So the other 5 areas that we're looking at, so I told you we have environmental and life science, biomedical and health. Arts and entertainment is a pathway we're working on. Business and entrepreneurship, education. As I talk about education, we've expanded our pre-K through a grant this past year, so now we've added a full-time classroom on site at the elementary school and now sponsor 2 off-site classrooms, one at the youth center and one at Magic Seasons. We're planning on using those for our education courses and internships for our students, which is really exciting. Engineering and technology, sports medicine, health and wellness. So these have all been based on information we've gotten from graduates, what they were looking to do, incoming students, what they might look to do. Like I said, it's a really exciting step for us to really shape the programming in a way that feels meaningful and to the community.
Aaron, question.
Yeah.
This is really good stuff in terms of getting an identity for the high school, why people would want to go there. Are you looking at a program, a promotional program to go into the middle schools around Berkshire, especially northern Berkshire middle schools, and educate the kids and the parents about what new programming is available at the high school to increase enrollment?
Yeah, I mean, we have a whole promotional campaign that we're working on, to kind of let people know the billboards and the website are a start. I think we need to inform our families and our community what the options and what the opportunities are. We have students that are coming to us from Savoy now, making sure that they get into the school and understand what we have to offer. St. Stan's as well. Just making sure that people know that we...
And the guidance counselors know to steer the students.
Correct. And kind of the way things are set up, we have a program called Naviance, where students take an interest survey, and then the guidance counselors meet with them individually to talk about, what careers they might be predispositioned for, and really help guide them in the decision making. So, there's quite a few moving pieces around that. Mm-hmm. I guess the other piece I will say about being an Innovations Pathway school is it opens us up to resources to build out the programming. We got another $75,000 grant to help us build out the programming and do things like create maker spaces, and shape the curriculum. 15 staff are getting trained in project-based learning to really shift their instructional practices to match our focus. It's become apparent that we've needed to make a shift from a traditional sit in your seat, sit in your row high school to a high school that does more for students and engages them and gets to know them personally and helps them as individuals to find a career.
Thank you. Thank you. Questions for our superintendent?
I have a question.
Sure, John.
So we've been talking about this for years, even prior to your time here, about creating these pathways, and I want to thank you for seeing them through to really implementing them. I got a question in regards to, for an example, engineering and technology. We have the students from K to 12. Yep. Right, and do everything we can do, right, to get them prepared for pre-med, whatever it may be, for engineering, for healthcare, whatever, for college, or just to go off to work. But as soon as they graduate, that's it, right? We have no communication, we have no oversight, that's it. Now they're off, right? And they go off to college for 4 years, so I'm wondering, like for engineering, we're always looking for interns, we're always looking for new hires. Yeah. But how do we complete that circle to get them, hopefully some will come back to Berkshire County and work here, but they're off at the college, and there's nothing we can do, or maybe newsletters or emails or whatever it may be, or internships back here in Adams or in Berkshire County to still tie them to the county to get them to come back after graduation, because we set them all up, did a great job, which I'm sure you're going to do. And I'd like to get some of them to come back home.
So I would hope that some of the internship opportunities we're going to build in high school will introduce them to you. They will go to school and they will come back. And I think that's part of it, really getting them introduced to the workforce around here and shaping opportunities that might exist around here. So when they go to school, they have that connection already and might be able to jump right into the workforce in the Berkshires. I think that's a challenge for everybody.
Yeah.
In terms of shaping things and really opening eyes to opportunities around here. I guess my hope is that working with the 200 plus businesses around here and getting students into them will offer us that connection that will bring them back.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Yes, I have some questions. I'll just go by the topics in order and just ask a few questions.
Yeah.
With the facilities updates, I think some years ago, I know John was on the board, we were very generous because we could foresee that there was going to be money needed to do the schools. And I'm happy that the money has been used, but you stated there's still some money left from money that we had given you. Is that correct?
And that's going towards this next project. I mean, what happened basically was the pandemic.
Yeah.
Well, I would say probably changes in leadership and the pandemic. And by the time we came out the other side, we were able to have discussions about, here was the report, here are the things that we've done, here are the things that are priorities, and here are the things that we can we can take care of long-term, so.
Okay, thank you. And the acronyms that you use, I always bring that up to no matter who's talking so the public can understand. So could you tell the people what ESSER is? And I'm not sure what SOA is. So, is that correct? Could you just let the people
Absolutely.
know?
Yep, so ESSER is really the stimulus funding that came our way during the pandemic. So there were 3 phases of it, ESSER 1, ESSER 2, and ESSER 3. We're now finishing ESSER 3, which needs to be spent by September 2024. So that came to us basically through the formula of Title I. So that was federal funds that came to us to help us do things through the pandemic, such as HVAC systems and improvements to facilities, and even, in a lot of cases, improvements to curriculum. So we've been able to do a lot of things with those resources that the district would not have otherwise been able to do. This SOA is Student Opportunity Act, so that's the legislation in Massachusetts that basically over the next 7 years steps up the funding mechanism from the state aid. Last year, we actually made the threshold to receive those funds and start receiving those. So over the next 3 years, we will receive step-ups in Chapter 70 that will hopefully get us to a point where we're very sustainable. So, and it's allowed us to do quite a bit more this year around building out the pathways and making sure that we have the things in place that we say we're going to have.
Yeah, and it was great to see that the work, the brickwork being done on the elementary school, that was getting kind of iffy, dangerous-wise, and I'm really happy to see that was done, and it looks pretty good. I stopped by and took a look at it. Also, I know there was a problem at the Plunkett School in the back with the drainage. Have you ever ascertained where those drop inlets, where the piping goes to exit it from the building? Has that ever been?
So the issue really is that the drains are undersized and it backs up, and
Yeah.
and that's what has created that larger issue.
Yeah.
So that's part of that bid project that we're talking about around the backside of the building, shoring up those drains that come down, shoring up the gutters, so the water is moving the way it's supposed to and stays away from the building.
Yeah.
It doesn't backflow and come down the sides of the building.
Yeah, and of course, it's so good that the gym roof up at the middle and high school is getting done. That was mandatory, I would think, and I know you recognize that also. And my last comment on this topic is, I don't know for the heck of me why during the building of these schools in New England they use flat roofs. I really have a hard time understanding
I
that.
can't tell you how many times I hear that.
Yeah.
You know, but true. I mean,
Yeah, beautiful school is at the end of 116. Have you, I'm sure you've seen it as you go to 116. I'm not even
To
sure the
112,
school,
yeah.
yeah. Now that's a beautifully built school for this area. Okay, so the second one, district office move. I was asked by a number of people, and I don't know, but I'd like to ask you, they wanted to know, is this lease or rented, and what is it going to cost the district to pay for those accommodations?
so it is leased. The school committee did vote in public on the lease last spring, and it's $4,500 a month.
$4,500 a month? Okay. And lastly, on the pathways, I think that is something that is going to be good. I'm exceptionally happy having an advanced degree in environmental science, that you're offering it to the students, because it's going to be their future during climate change. They're going to be the people that are going to try to have to make the difference, because we're teetering right now on no way back. It's become quite obvious if you just see what's going on in the world, and we have still a lot of deniers. And so for that, I'm very happy that you're offering that course. I think it's something that I hope kids take advantage of, and thank you for everything, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Joe. And I have a comment about your Pathways curriculum billboards. It was really smart to put them up just before the street fair. I spent the entire street fair explaining the billboards to the folks who came up from Pittsfield who wanted to know what the pathways were. So luckily, it was on your website,
Yeah.
and I was able to share that information. But that's
Purposely.
what I was like. I was like, wow, that was really smart of you with all that traffic coming into town that day.
We're going to reverse the school choice issue. Just give us a few more years.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, but thank you very much for coming in and always being a good partner to make sure that we're keeping everyone informed.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for
Thank you, Aaron.
having a good night.
Thanks. All right. I think our next presentation is sitting in the sunroom, so I'll let them gather. But our police chief, Chief Kelly, has asked for some time today during our meeting to take care of some officer recognitions. So there's no action from the board, just presentation from the police chief.
That talking Sonorado over there.
Okay. And here it is. Do you want them all to come forward? Is
Yes.
that-
They're always, they don't want to come up far enough, and I want them to come
Yep.
up all the way.
We don't bite.
We don't. No.
So,
And Tammy's coming around this way from my Berkshires to get a good photo of all of you.
very good. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. It's times like these that I appreciate coming before the Board of Selectmen, officer recognition, that's what's on the agenda. Some of the people up here aren't aware of what is going to happen.
Well, that's fun.
But just a little preface before I get into this. As a police chief or as a supervisor, you get comments, emails about, hey, I saw this happen, that this officer went above and beyond. Citizens, other emergency services, and you kind of put them in levels. There's no guidelines to this. Sometimes it's you catch them and say, great job, send them an email. And then sometimes it raises to the level of this, where you go before the Board of Selectmen, because something these officers did was just something extraordinary and without a thought to their safety, health, what have you, because it's what they do. And I assure you that anytime these officers come up here, they appreciate it, but they try to stay away from this like the plague. And I get it. That's my job to force it on them, but I get it. That's not what we're here to do. So when I get multiple emails from different people, citizens inside the department, EMS, that's one of those triggers that's like I've got to make this known. And so today I kind of put the life-saving aspect of these plaques I'm going to give out. I've got two. And I'm actually going to start with the one that just happened recently. So when I came back, I took some days off, and I came back and had a couple of emails about an officer who had, in his time off, had helped with a vehicle accident. So, and what I do when I take these, when I...
You better put Chris at parade rest over there because I've been there and I know what those knees are doing right now.
You got him to crack a smile. That was good.
Bend the knees. Greg, come on up here. So generally what I do with this, when I get multiple people sending me stuff, I will take those and kind of take things out of it. So on August 12th, Greg was off duty with his family who was here, and they were at Pittsfield. They were at Panera Bread. They're in the parking lot and hear a large crash. Now, to any of us, we know exactly what a car wreck sounds like. So Greg made sure everyone was good there, ran to the accident, which was there in the road between the car lot and the parking lot. 3 people in the car, glass everywhere. I I think the car had taken off, right, the suspect vehicle?
It just had to continue 220
Yeah.
feet down the road.
So there was glass embedded in the passengers. The backseat driver was in dire straits. Blood everywhere, and let me say this first. I've got to be transparent with some of these things that these officers did, because without me saying exactly what they did, I don't think the appreciation can be there. So what Greg did off-duty, in plain clothes, was get into the back seat with this female, recognized she was in serious trouble, used towels, his hands, to hold her head up and keep pressure on the wounds. Her injuries were life-threatening. Greg was there the entire time, while a lot of people, as I have come to find out, were just frozen. Greg made people do things. He put people, I need you to do this and that. He stayed there with heavy bleeding from her head and a skull fracture. And he stayed with her until EMS arrived. The girl was transported to Berkshire Medical Center, and I followed up. Serious injuries, but it seems that she will be okay. I assure you, from my experience and the people that I talked to after hearing about this without a doubt qualifies as a life-saving incident. And Sergeant Greg Honorado, I appreciate you, and you did a great job. What I'm going to do is wait till the very end and get both of them their plaques so we can get some pictures.
He does have a number one fan in the audience who I think would probably love to hug him at some point. So, just been very excited.
All right. So this is Chris Whitney. He has worked with us for a long time, but he's been on third, so you might not know what he looks like. Okay, so this happened in June 7th, I believe. So just to be a little bit more specific, email from Robert Watson, EMS, paramedic, and 2 emails internally, and yet another meanie. So I've got 4 different emails from 4 different people. On June 7th, we had an incident on Summer Street, and without getting too much into detail, it was a violent assault, and it was an assault using an edged weapon, a knife. So Officer Whitney was on duty. They responded to the residents. When Officer Whitney got there, he went inside, saw the victim on the floor, obvious stab wounds, large amount of blood already pooling. He realized that the victim had a gash on the side of her neck. So he asked the other officer who was working to go get his bleed kit. At that point, Officer Whitney was using everything just as Sergeant Honorado did, including his fingers, to hold that neck wound closed. The bleeding was so profuse, and this was what was relayed to me, that it soaked through the victim's hair and a large towel. He stayed there, and let me just add this fact, because I realized this in looking at this. We didn't know where the suspect was as a police. We didn't know. He went in, found the victim, put his safety in danger because we didn't know if that person was still in the house, what have you. His priority at that point was that victim and keeping her alive. This is from Detective Wandry. He sent me this. I specifically want to recognize Officer Whitney. He calmly and confidently conducted a patient assessment on the victim upon his arrival and considered everything that he did to be life-saving. This is from paramedic Robert Watson. It's always a pleasure to meet and interact with Officer Whitney. Officer Whitney had expertly applied pressure dressing to the patient's right side and her neck, rapidly assessed the situation, and relayed all of this information to incoming EMS. Officer Whitney also maintained manual cervical spine stabilization. That's very important. Any movement, if he doesn't keep it in line, there could be paralysis. I commend Officer Whitney on his decisiveness in applying life-saving first aid, and without question, this saved her life. Again, just like Sergeant Honorado, Officer Whitney did this without thinking twice. He used his 20-plus years of experience and the things that hopefully we have taught him, because we did just go through tactical medical training. But it's things like this that makes me so proud of this police department. These are your police officers out here, and they're here for you. Thank you. Very well.
And Officer Whitney, you also have a fan club here.
There you are, sir. Thank you. Let me just say this too. I always like to mention family. Both of them have family here. Dad, Mom, everyone. I appreciate you coming. These two guys are part of my family. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Yep.
Chief. Chief, before you go, just truly gratitude for bringing this forward and for giving us an opportunity to hear about the work of Officer Whitney and Sergeant Honorado, and to make sure that people are aware of the kinds of things that our department is doing. I, for one, am very proud of this department and grateful that they do serve our community. So thank you.
Thank you. And self-admittedly, I understand that I should probably be up here more, but that's my fault. We're all busy, and the police department, that's my home. So I should be up here more, but these are the things that I really appreciate doing. More is coming. I mean, we had a summer where officers went above and beyond. So the next ones will be, investigative and enforcement-wise. So more is coming. I want these officers, as I've said always, to know that they're appreciated here, and I know that the community appreciates them too. So again, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Can I just make
Sure, Joe,
one
go
comment? I know Greg and his family pretty well, and that's little Pookie. I don't know, they don't call you Pookie anymore, do they?
We sure do.
Oh, you do, huh? Okay, nice to see ya. Bye-bye.
And I heard that the chief wants to come back to more meetings, so I'm excited about it. So next meeting, chief? No, I'm just joking. I'll call you. All right. Thank you. All right. So the next few items on our agenda are licensing related. So Bree, I might lean on you a little bit. The first group of licenses that we do have are for the Polish picnic, which is scheduled for Sunday, September 10th. I know Rachel Tomkowitz is here. So Rachel, on our agenda, we do have the one-day liquor license application for the Polish picnic, as well as the public entertainment license for the Polish picnic. I've been informed that all of the necessary paperwork is in order and has been made available to us. But did you want to just spend a minute or two just to say what the event is and the date and the time? And
Yep, so we're having our annual Polish picnic at Palunka Grounds on Mill Street on Sunday, September 10th. The gates open at noon time. The Eddie Foreman Orchestra is playing between 1 and 5. You know, I can go through, we had the TIP certified, and Joe, I was on my phone because I didn't know what TIP stood for, and TIP stands for, because we're going to be TIP certified, that will be IDing the patrons that decide to drink. TIP stands for Training for Intervention Procedures. So we will be TIP certified there, IDing the people who decide to drink. We're expecting about 500 people. We're going to have, you know, the Polish fare, the usual Polish fare. The Adams Lions Club will be selling their American fare, and Crumb Bakery will be selling their baked goods at the event. So we're expecting about 500 people. I'm not sure if you guys went last year, but I mean, I never went to the Polish picnics back in the day, but really it's becoming like this major like family event, and like we really take over the whole ground. So there's a big, you know, children's area there. So if you're around, please stop down. So Sunday, September 10th.
All right, thank you, Rachel.
Okay, thank you.
So the first item is the one-day liquor license for, no, you're okay. For the Polish picnic, as described by Rachel. So it's for September 10th.
I'll make a motion to approve a one-day liquor license application for the Polish picnic for Sunday, September 10th, 2023, at the Palaka Grounds, 22 Mill Street, Adams, from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m.
I have a motion by Howard. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Joe. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed or an abstention? All right, that is unanimous. And then the second license needed for the Polish picnic is the public entertainment license.
I'll make a motion to approve the public entertainment license for the Polish picnic for Sunday, September 10th, 2023, at the Palaka Grounds, 22 Mill Street in Adams, from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m.
I have a motion by Howard. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Joe. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or an abstention? All right, that's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. Good luck with the event. Not that you'll need it. It's always well attended. All right, the next two items are for the Walk to End Alzheimer's. And with us tonight is Mary Whitman. So Mary, if you want to talk a little bit about the event, and then we'll take care of the business items after that.
Okay, thank you. I'm challenging you first. I'm challenging each and every one of you to join the Adams Council on Aging's team to Walk to End Alzheimer's. I wanted to do a town one. I thought maybe it would go to town hall did it, and I thought, well, all the municipals, and I thought, we have a team, and if all of you would join, tomorrow morning, you can stop by at the Lions Club picnic, and you can sign up, and you can talk to Sarah, and you can be part of the team. I've been doing this since 1997, and so it's really close to my heart, and you've all seen me in the past. We would like to see if it was okay if we can put the lawn signs out around the town. We've done it in the past, and I'll be getting lawn signs next week. If that's okay, we can put it on different properties around town, different entranceways, so people will be aware. The walk is Saturday, September 30th. The day is going to start out with, registration is between 8:30 and 9, which the walkers will come and we'll have a welcome ceremony. At 9:45, we will have what we call a promise garden ceremony. And if you've never been to one of our walks, we have 4 flowers. And the blue flower represents someone that's living with Alzheimer's or other dementias. The blue flower is for those who have lost someone with a disease. The yellow flower represents someone who's currently supporting a caregiver or a person living with it. And the orange flower is for those who support and the cause and the association vision of a world without dementia. We had a few years ago a white flower, and that's our hope that in the future we will have a cure, and my grandchildren or my children will someday know that there's a cure and they won't have to worry about this anymore. So that's what the Promise Garden is all about. We put that out on the side on Hoosick Street, so if you're driving by and you see all the flowers, all of the walkers will end up with a flower that day representing where they are in their life with the disease. 1 in 3 seniors dies from Alzheimer's. 6 million people in the United States of America right now are living with Alzheimer's. in the year 2023, with all the dementias and Alzheimer's, the world spends $345 billion on needs for families and caregivers. And in the year 2050, it's going to be over $1 trillion. People always ask about the walk and what it's all about and where does the money go. And I can tell you that 75% of the money that's raised in the walks in your communities goes back into your communities for education, support, and families. 15% goes into education, and 4% rather, goes into administration. So we make sure that all the money that's raised at all the walks stays within your county. And because we are Berkshire Walk, it's from Clarksburg all the way down to South County. So we thank you for letting us, since 2017 or 18, I believe, move the walk to Adams. We have grown out of, the first walk was in Stockbridge at Tanglewood. Then the walks were at Lennox Squeeze Festival. Then the walks were at Farnham's Crossing in Cheshire. We grew out of the walks. We were on Route 8, and the state police didn't like us being all over the road. We had parked people, they had parked cars at the mall, and we were shuttling people back and forth. And we just have a unique situation. We have the parking lot. Meehan next door always allows us to park cars over there. Our police officers, we will need at the beginning of the walk so they can cross everybody over onto Hoosick Street. We go from the rail trail at the visitor center to Lime Street and back. So that's how our day goes. After the ceremony, people just stay around. Our walk is one of the walks where we are such a close-knit community that our families like to stay around and just, you have likeness. So you can talk to a family friend, or you can see somebody that you're not aware of that might have somebody, and there's this family unity that our walk has that no other walk in Berkshire County or in the state of Massachusetts has. So we're really unique because it's home, it hits home. That's our day. It's 2.4 miles to go back and forth. We will do a little bit after the walk. We usually kind of stay around and talk and stuff like that, but we should be done by 1. Yeah, we should be done by 1 o'clock. So that's a little bit of the day.
Thank you, Mary.
Okay.
So there are 2 business items for the board to take up. One is a public entertainment license for the event. So that's for Saturday, September 30th from 9 to 2. So we can take that one first.
I'll make a motion to approve a public entertainment license for the Walk to End Alzheimer's Disease for Saturday, September 30th, 2023, from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Adams Visitor Center.
I have a motion by Howard. Do I have a second?
Second?
Second by John. Any discussion?
I just have a comment. Whoever filled out this application's got beautiful writing.
It's actually our new director, Shauna. Shauna did it, and she's new to Berkshire County.
I thought it was printed out.
I actually emailed her and told her that she had the most beautiful handwriting that I've seen.
We may hire her as a form filler.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? That is unanimous. And then the next item is for the signs along a public way. It looks like
Locations are good.
the locations are the Adams Visitor Center lawn, in front of Adams Free Library, in front of Adams Town Hall, in Memorial Park, Hoosick Street Traffic Circle, and the Center Street Commercial Street Traffic Island. And the town administrator says that the locations are good.
Rotary is not included, that's so.
Correct.
And I did, pardon me, I did speak with her and expressly state that we don't allow signage at the Rotary for safety reasons. And so that has been discussed.
I'll make a motion to approve the application to place signs on a public way for the Walk to End Alzheimer's Disease for Saturday, September 30th, 2023, from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Adams Visitor Center for all the locations stated on the application.
I have a motion by Howard. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Joe. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Or abstention? That is unanimous.
Hope to see you there.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't forget.
I know, don't forget.
The original. sign permit?
Yes.
Okay. All right, that brings us to subcommittee and liaison reports. John?
I don't have anything, it's been quiet.
Okay. Howard?
Nothing for me?
Joe?
Yes, I attended a Parks Commission meeting, and a lot of it had to do with scheduling. And once again, each time I go to a meeting, it really tells me that we have a shortage of fields and areas where people can help the children out. Just recently, I emailed Jay and Bree about the Police League. They're really struggling to find adequate space for the number of kids that want to get into the league, and I'm hoping that perhaps something may work out where they'll be able to use the gymnasium, because it's certainly a worthwhile cause. And
the gymnasium being Memorial?
yes,
Okay, so I'll try to get an infrastructure facilities subcommittee meeting going. We started to talk about that at one
Okay.
point.
okay, and that's all I have for liaison reports.
Joe, when do they start, the PAL?
I don't know, I just talked, I ran into, well, his name is Joe Jopic, he's been a long time, official with the league, and I just happened to see him at Cumberland Farms, and he approached me, and I said I'd look into it, as I do for anyone that asks me anything, and I'm not sure when they start, but I imagine it's soon.
Thank you.
All right, and then I just wanted to mention, under subcommittee and liaison reports, just some gratitude to Jay for working with all of the admins and department heads to have a open meeting law training scheduled for last week. I know it was well attended. I think that's getting us on the way to formalizing some of our agendas and minutes, and I know that Attorney St. John has talked about doing something for all of the subcommittees, or for all of the boards and commissions that we have here in town, and working with everybody. So I'll follow up with him, or maybe you can, to see where he's at with that as a follow-up to the open meeting law training. But thank you for pushing that.
Thank you.
Announcements and good of the order. Joe?
I have a few things, but I don't have them as concrete as I'd like to express them, so I have nothing tonight.
Okay. Howard?
I just want to extend my appreciation to the town, and particularly at the transfer station, how helpful the staff is in helping people take the heavy trash out of their cars and put it in the respective dumpsters. I think it speaks well for the town, the esprit de corps, and the positive attitude.
Thank you. John?
I am good.
Okay. So our next meeting will be Wednesday, September 6th. Thank you, everybody. I was like, I was doing that without a calendar, so thank you. So that'll be our next regularly scheduled meeting, so it'll be Wednesday, September 6th at 6 p.m. If any members of the board have an item that they wish to put on the agenda, please email me and Jay Green to let us know what you are looking to have on the agenda. If there's no other business to come before the board, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by John, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Howard, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we are adjourned.